All right, welcome back. That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Thursday, March 12th, and today we have Daniel Kelly. You can find his work at First Round Mock. Daniel, thanks for joining us. I guess first,
Absolutely. Thanks
yeah,
for having
just
me, Andre.
kind of share your background, your backstory, and kind of where they can find your work.
Absolutely. I mean, my story is the true story of a fan making to the NFL. That's I grew up a fanatical fan of the Washington Redskins in Minnesota, of all places, and I just ate, breathed, slept football 24/7 from the time I was 8 years old on, and I just love the game. And that passion for the game turned into being. My parents gave me a book for my 17th birthday called Secrets of NFL Scout, written by Tony Rosano, the old scouting director with the San Francisco 49ers, the guy that actually convinced or talked Bill Walsh rather into drafting Joe Montana. That was a good recommendation. Uh, and Walsh, the way the story went, won the draft. Steve Dills as a quarterback that year, and Rosano talked him into Joe Montana instead. And I looked at this book, and I was like, this is what I want to be. I was 17 years old. I was like, I want to be an NFL scout. So I started actually recording like all the games on TV, sending in reports to Charlie Casserly, who was the GM of the Washington Redskins at the time. He wrote back, hey, wait till after your first year of college. Barely passed through high school because I was so focused on football. Got into small community college, failed all that, was just focused on football. Got into Allstate Insurance as an insurance agent at 21 years old. And I'm sitting here telemarketing for insurance leads one night. And on the sports local sports radio show, it comes on this ad. Hey, the first 32 callers call in. You can represent a team on the air, mock draft. Come on in, bring a friend. I was like, hey, I got 9 open phone lines. Here we go, right? And so I started smiling, dialing, as they say in telemarketing, and I was the first caller. And they said, congratulations, you're going to represent the expansion Jacksonville Jaguars. Bring a friend, we have lunch, da-da-da. And so I went in. I took all my old scouting reports with me just in case I saw somebody that I might, know, or somebody could take a look at them or whatnot. And I walked up to the microphone, petrified. They said, just like you hear it, with the first pick in the 1995 draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected. I reached into the microphone. And I said, Tony Boselli, offensive tackle, USC. And, on the corner of my eye, I saw Tony Dungy. Or sitting over there as a defense coordinator, Minnesota Vikings. I approached him. I was like, "Hey, Coach Dungy, I'm Daniel Kelly. Would you mind taking a look at some of my work?" He actually was interested in it. He took the time to look at it, and he said, "Hey, this is pretty good." He goes, "How do you feel about coming out of my office next week? We could sit down. I can pull out all my old blessed reports and scouting reports from the Chiefs, so we could talk." I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So that turned into be an informal unpaid internship for 6 months with Coach Dungy. He left for Tampa Bay. With the Buccaneers, I left back to the real world, sleeping on my buddy's couch, selling Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door. And then at 24 years old, I was sitting at Bank America as a loan officer, and I'm like, sitting in this meeting, I'm like, what am I doing here? My dream is to be an NFL scout. What am I doing here? So all these ideas start coming to my mind. Hey, you got a little satellite dish. You can record the games. You can give this one last chance. Because to me, Trey, and to whoever's watching and listening to this, and maybe this resonates with somebody, but to me, it was like, it's better to go for my dream and not get it than to always wonder what if. So that was my that it was a go time. Wave the punter off the field. Let's load it up. Let's go. And so I ended up the next 7 months turned into be like I worked like all day at the bank. Again, probably 2-3 hours sleep a night. Moonlighting as a scout. Turned into be a 350-page self-published. I published a 1998 draft guide that served as my resume, 350 pages. And I sent it out, 3 copies to every team in the NFL, one to every personalized, every GM, director, player, personnel, and head coach, overnight mail. Every coach, GM, director got an 8-pound box in the mail with my resume in it. And, the Jets called, and there I was.
Yeah, fair enough. A big reason why I wanted to have you on is because the consensus takes drive me insane. Like, it feels like there's so many groupthink losers out there. They come to the same conclusion. I actually saw your stuff on Whitlock, and I wanted to start here because we're actually on the same page with this one. This Fernando Mendoza thing. I'm with you. I think he's a third rounder. I think I'm a little bit higher than you are, but like to me, his best case scenario is a Jared Goof, which if that gets you excited, I just couldn't turn the card in for that kind of player with the number 1 pick in the draft. To me, go over I guess the reasons why you don't like Mendoza, because to me, like if I'm the Raiders, I'm trading that pick 100 times out of 100 times.
Yeah, Trey, that's refreshing. I feel like I've landed on Mars and I have found life.
Yeah, I don't.
I almost want to have you repeat that again. I'm so excited just to hear somebody say that they actually don't think, the group think stuff is so
it's so insane.
It's like beating a drum. It's like, how many months are you guys going to beat us over the head with the same stuff without providing little to no evidence, and continue to say the same thing day after day? So I love it. I love it, Trey. I'm all with you. To answer your question, there's such a big difference between, to me, like, watching college football and then transitioning into the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they say? Like only 1.6% of college football players actually make an NFL roster.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be realistic about that though.
Yeah, no. It's not time for that yet.
Everybody wants to wave the pom poms. Everybody's going to make it.
Oh yes, everyone's going to make it, absolutely. But so I always say when I'm on shows, I'm not trying to take anything away from what Fernando Mendoza accomplished from a college level or be disrespectful, or people say, oh, you're just hating. It's not that, okay? It's just a different game. Even the size of the football is different, which Kenny Pickett found out the hard way, right? I mean, these NFL defense, these college level defense, they're playing a lot of, we see it every week. It's a lot of off man. It's a lot of zone. It's a little loose pass coverage. These are guys that aren't going to even sniff an NFL locker room. A lot of these games. So when I watch these games, I put on these NFL colored glasses, which is really watching these college games from an NFL perspective. So when I look at Mendoza, he is just so incredibly limited. We're not that far away apart, Trey. Third and fourth round is, it's just, to me, third round is a high ceiling developmental guy. Fourth round is a low ceiling developmental guy.
Yeah, I have him as a third rounder.
Yeah, we're both in the same discussion. We're in the same area with it. But Mendoza, it's one watching him. Here's what he essentially does. He stands there. Okay, first of all, Indiana's got the number 1 team in the country. Okay, so they got a strong roster around.
And we saw the previous year with Cal.
We did.
Nobody wants to bring that up.
No. That's not good for ratings. So I had a fifth round grade on Mendoza. I couldn't even believe that. I can't. To me, this is like Trey Lance and Kenny Pickett all over again. Like, I can't even believe we're having this group, this nationwide discussion about Fernando Mendoza, because like you said, Trey, when I looked at him in Cal in 2024, I'm like, this guy, just a really limited, a fifth round guy, a one-read quarterback, strong arm, but just a lot of limitations.
He's an okay point guard to me. Like,
yeah, it's so here we are now. He's playing for number 1 Indiana, right? And
all those guys are older too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what does he do, right? He stands there like a statue in shotgun formation, right? And he claps for the snap, and he does one of a few things, right? And number 1, he hands the ball off to the number 13th ranked rushing attack in the country, right? Okay, that's the first thing he does. Number 2, he basically, I don't feel he can read a defense. I don't know about you, but I don't think he can read what's happening post snap.
I think we're going to find out the answer to how good Josh Hoover is this year, because I think Josh Hoover is going to be all right. Like, I don't think they're really going to miss much. Now, maybe I sound crazy for saying that, but like even the year before, like Rourke got him into the playoff the year before.
And their numbers are similar. Curtis Rourke and his numbers are similar. And Rourke goes in the 7th round to the 49ers. I understand he was injured, but he went 7th.
Mendoza's a little bit more mobile than Rourke, but like there's really, I don't know how much of a gap there really is.
There's not much in terms of stats. And he's a systematic guy. So what does he do? He claps for a snap, Mendoza, he hands the ball off, or he basically makes, 1 to 2, what I feel are predetermined throwing locations. I feel like they tell him where to throw the ball, and he looks to the left, he looks to the right, and he stands there, and then he throws these passes to the outside or deep, these passes that offer him the absolute positive, most throwing leverage, so he can create and pad and protect this sacred completion percentage everybody wants to talk about. But I mean, these are just, these are passes. When I say, throwing leverage, these are passes to the outside, by the sidelines, where defenders can't get in the way. They're tunnel screens, they're bubble screens, they're deep behind the defense. Once in a while, he'll throw a slant to the inside again that offers that leverage when the receiver goes inside. But I mean, it's such a limited route tree, right? And then from there, it's like if that's not there, if that first or second progression, read, we'll put in air quotes, isn't there, right? He starts to visibly panic. He starts to bounce around in the
We
pocket.
kind of saw that in the Miami game, though. Miami
Absolutely.
made the adjustments, and he really didn't do much in the second half.
No, 40% completion percentage. Miami figured it out. I was screaming at the TV practically in my mind for the last several games of the playoffs and the season with Mendoza, because I'm like, how much longer? Even like Saban said at a halftime, he's like, how much longer are we going to have this loose coverage? Just give these charity throws on the outside. I mean, so they tighten up that coverage like you're talking about, Trey. They tighten it up on the outsides. They brought pressure in his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a 40% completion percentage. That to me is like an NFL preview of what Mendoza is. But, and he doesn't, he starts to, if those first two progressions aren't there, he starts to bounce the pocket, and then he starts to panic. He drops his eyes, and he does one about 4 different things. Either he rolls out and tries to find a receiver that's wide open. He throws the ball away to protect, they get rid of it. He runs the ball. He ran 90 times this year, right? 6'5". He's this huge awkward.
He's an awkward runner, like a giraffe.
Awkward. Well, the announcer even said he's like a baby giraffe.
Yeah.
I mean, they said it right on the TV. So you're right, and then it's either that or he gets sacked. There's 1 of 4 things happening there. So
he holds the ball a long time.
Oh yeah, it's really a long time. I mean, especially when he's under pressure. I mean, I subscribe to PFF every month, and I look at all these numbers and these analytics and metrics and stuff. And I mean, I went back and I looked at his time to throw according to Pro Football Focus when he's under pressure, and it was ranked. He's ranked number 262nd in the country in NCAA. Right.
Good luck with that Raiders line, though.
Oh yeah, FBS 262nd. Right, 3.65 seconds. One of my big criticisms of Caleb Williams is he can't get the ball of his hand on time. This guy actually takes more time to do it than Caleb Williams or Shedeur Sanders. This guy is holding the ball for an eternity back there. So it's just, he's a stiff. Mendoza is a stiff, awkward, mechanical, robotic statue, a guy that I feel is going to be an extremely high injury risk in the NFL because, the NFL is just not kind. We've seen it. I put a high injury risk pre-draft on Anthony Richardson, on Jayden Daniels.
Jayden Daniels had no clue how to slide at LSU.
Oh, he got hammered. he got hammered. I put up a clip from Twitter. I still post it periodically. I'm like, anybody with 2 eyes,
there was no surprise there.
Coming. No, I mean, the guy runs into, he's built like a piece of paper, and he thinks he's Derrick Henry, and he runs straight into people, and he gets just hammered. And he tries to wear these rib protectors to make him not look so skinny, and a sweatshirt underneath and all this stuff to pad himself, but he's so thin. So with Mendoza, you got this 6'5" guy who's not that flexible athletically, who's rigid and kind of upright. He doesn't like to slide. It's like a first baseman trying to steal bases in Major League Baseball. I mean, these big tall guys, it's like he's upright. He doesn't like to slide. He doesn't slide well. He doesn't like to go out of bounds. This guy is going to be a 6'5" pinata, I believe, in the NFL. I mean, if this guy tries to run the ball 90 times in the NFL in a season, they're going to be carrying him off the field. I mean, it's just like Jackson Dart and these guys that just want to they can't protect themselves. And that's one of the main things I look at a film. When I look at these college quarterbacks in film, I look at, can this guy get down? Can this guy protect his body? Because these NFL players, they're going to hit, and they're going to hit much harder than anything that these guys have experienced at the college level.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a little bit more than you do, mostly because like it seems like he's coachable. It seems like he's a good kid. Like I don't think there's like crazy character concerns, but that's
No,
basically the reason
no.
why.
No, yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, you know, it's not an issue of
Yeah,
coachability or it's a matter of ability. It's
yeah,
like you know. So now the Raiders, you know, I mean, they've given up the second most sacks, you know, in the NFL over the last 2 years at 114 according to StatMuse, 64 sacks last year according to StatMuse. And so now, of course, they got Tyler, you know, Linderbaum, you know, at
that's
center,
a huge help.
but it's a huge help. But I don't care if they build a brick wall around Mendoza. There's still I mean, they can literally just encase him with brick and just you know he can snap and they can hand it to him. The problem is, and trust me, I mean, I put a pre-draft Hall of Fame grade on Brock Bowers. I put a pre-draft Hall of Fame grade on Ashton Genty. I mean, they got some talent there, and they're getting more talent through free agency. But even if they had a wall built, even if they had 10 other Hall of Fame players around Mendoza, at the end of the day, these NFL cornerbacks are very savvy. They've been playing the game, a lot of them for years. They know how to jump routes. They know how to read routes. They know how to read a route tree. And Mendoza's, I mean, even the television announcers talked about the, you know, the limited amount of routes this guy throws. So he's
Oh
going to
yeah,
get to
yeah.
the NFL. And here's the thing that's scary. Mendoza does everything in his power to telegraph his throws, right? So he stands there in the pocket like a statue. He looks at the first two options. He locks into his option he wants. And at Cal, Mendoza used to throw the ball with a little too much upper body, is what I noticed, which affected his placement, his location and placement. The ball could sail high on him, or it could, you know, it just so. How did he correct the Indiana? What they did is they had him stand in this, you know, he doesn't leave his spot. He stands there and he locks in with the receiver. He locks in with the receiver and gets his body perfectly aligned with the trajectory and the angle that he's throwing it in. And then on top of it, right? And he's got horrible eye, like he's not manipulating any defenders with his eyes. Where he's looking is where he's throwing it, right? So Mendoza, like he locks in, and then on top of it, he pats the ball to let everybody know exactly when and where he's going to throw it. He's going to throw it out there. It's going to not take that long, Trey, and to our listeners, for these NFL corners who've been doing this for a living for quite a while, some of them, to really understand that, okay, guys, listen, Mendoza's going to throw about, you know, one of three, four, five different routes here. You know, let's just as watch his eyes. Let's just sit on these routes and let's just, you know, let's just make Sports Center. You know, what do you say? You know, and that's the thing. So it doesn't really matter about the protection to me. It matters that I mean, the NFL is a very fluid post-snap game for quarterbacks. It's a split-second decisions. Quarterbacks have to be able to read and adjust and make, you know, on the fly. That's not Mendoza. Mendoza lives in a bubble. He lived in a bubble, Indiana, where everything he tried to control the environment. He's a control freak. They tried to set up perfectly for him with talent that was better than all the rest of the college teams. And basically, he just sat back there and was able to kind of do his thing and manipulate, you know, defenses very similarly to how Shedeur Sanders tried to manipulate everybody at Colorado with the type of offense they were running, I felt.
Yeah, we're kind of on the same page with this one. I do want to shift to some of the other quarterbacks though, because for me, like if I'm the Raiders, I'm trading that pick, I'm pushing it down the road to
Absolutely.
2027, and then I would take one of these other guys later in terms of I actually think we have the same order in this somehow. We're gonna find
Wow.
disagreements eventually, but I have Beck, Aller, and Klubnik, which is
Wow.
I actually think that's the order you have it. I don't know if
Wow,
that's
I do feel like I'm on Mars now. Wow, this is refreshing. It's like
so,
I better go buy a lottery ticket.
yeah, so I guess pick whichever guy you want to talk about because to me, like, I don't know. This quarterback class isn't great to me, but I think one of these guys actually has a chance to maybe pop if they land in the right spot, and they're going to go way lower than a Mendoza will, and especially if you count like the trade back value chart, like it's not. It's going to be night and day the cost of what it's going to be to pick like a Beck, an Aller, or a Klubnik. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my just like you, my QB1 we can talk about if you want is Carson Beck. I mean, this is a guy that to me would be a lot better pick for the Raiders than Mendoza would be at any point. And when I talk about rounds and
You'll
we're
probably get
discussing.
him way later though.
Well, maybe I can't speak for anyone else. I mean, he's my
Yeah,
QB1. I mean that's where I have him because here's the thing about Beck is Beck to me and is the most pro ready NFL ready quarterback in this draft.
that we agree with for sure.
Yeah, and with the best head on his shoulders in this draft. What do I mean? Okay, so the NFL, when I'm watching these college, the NFL transitions, I'm watching the college film through NFL color glasses. I'm looking at back and I'm looking it's probably there's a lot of variables, but I think I listed like 32 variables that go through my mind when I'm watching film. There's probably a lot more than that. But one of the main things is reading a defense, being able to read a defense post snap, right? And Beck can do that, and he's great at doing it. I mean, I've seen Beck regularly get to 2, 3, 4 reads on a play. He's got one of the things I love about Beck most is he's got a high level, and I saw this. I mean, I've evaluated every start he's made, all 43 of them, and at Georgia I started noticing this where he was able to kind of like C.J. Stroud did at Ohio State. He's able to move and manipulate safeties and coverage and defenders with his eyes. He's able to look this way and then go that way.
Well, let's not forget Georgia led the FBS in drops the one year where everybody tried to kill him too.
Right. Well, for some reason, Beck just hasn't been a fan favorite when it comes to the consensus. Some of these guys they like, and some of them they don't, and they've never really liked them. So they try, to your point, they try to pick on him with some of this stuff. But he's able to move defenders with his eyes or his body positioning. He's able to move, defenders.
He's not a bad athlete at all.
Not at all. Not at all. He's a good athlete. He can get out of the pocket. You're right, Trey. And the thing too is I love about Beck is that he is so comfortable in a clean or a dirty pocket, almost to a fault. He had
great protection this year though at Miami.
Yeah, he did. Almost to a fault, though. Almost to a fault. He just stares down the field and he just stays locked into what's going on down there. And, so those things I really transition well to the NFL. And Beck is somebody also who I love his comeback story. It's from the neck up, right? The old saying in scouting is football is won or lost from the neck up. And so Beck is a guy who, left Georgia, left as a young man, all that was familiar to him, went through the catastrophic arm injury against Texas in the SEC championship game, had to go to Miami with all the noise, criticism, and doubt, was going through the hell of the rehab that he was going through. It was a new town, a new locker room of guys, all the noise around him. Well, is this really the guy? Let's see if he can come back. Let's see. And so what does he do? He comes in, he doesn't just start a few games. He leads Miami to the national championship game. And he did, I feel, go through some adversity during the season as well. He even talked about during a game where, he's leaning on his mom, Tracy, to help him, tighten up his friend group and stuff. And so there was some stuff going on behind the scenes, especially when they lost 2 out of 3 to Louisville and SMU during the mid stretch of the season. But Beck he just found a way to win. He found a way to win.
He's a winner.
Straight. He is a winner. A lot of wins. He found a way, 7 straight wins, got him to the Natty. And to me, I always like telling people, I said, if that last throw is a touchdown and not an interception, I wonder what the national narrative would have. I think they would have cringed. They'd be like, oh boy,
Yeah, the 2 questions I have with Beck is a lot of the elite quarterbacks in the league, they're almost so good at the adaptation part of the game where it's like the second play within the play. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure he's at that level. And then the second part is the turnovers, like a little too many mistakes in terms of the interception department. But other than that, I think he's going to make it.
Yeah, it does. And I think he's maturing, to your point, Trey, in both those areas. I'm seeing him adapt a little bit more. And for example, like during the season, he kind of adapted more to what Miami was trying to do with the shorter game. And there's no embarrassment with that. I mean, most of the NFL game is scripted.
Easy to do with Makai Tony, too.
Yeah, absolutely. But true. But most of the NFL game is scripted from the short to intermediate 0 to 19-yard route yardage, area. So he did. But you're right. He did adjust to it, and he also with the turnovers too. I felt like he was starting to take a few less chances. But to me, it's like my ceiling on Carson Beck is Matthew Stafford, and my floor on him is Tony Romo, and both of those guys.
Stafford's a little high for me. I don't know. I wouldn't be willing to go there, but I get where you're coming from because he has a good arm too.
He does have a good arm. He's got
Yeah.
good size and he's got a lot of experience. And I'm saying that's my ceiling. My floor is Tony Romo. And the interesting part about both those guys is they kind of had to kind of go through that overcoming some of those turnovers, those interceptions early in their career. So I saw some parallels there as well. But I mean, Beck, you see, when a team's struggling, and that's what I don't get. I mean, if I'm a struggling NFL team and I'm looking at quarterbacks, not only do I want someone who's talented per se, quote unquote, and transitions or translates well to the NFL, quote unquote, but I want somebody that has a head on their shoulders that knows adversity, can deal with adversity, and has proven unequivocally they can overcome adversity. And to me, Carson Beck has proven that, and
That
that's
was
why
the
I
big
think he's
Parcells
perfect.
thing. He loved guys that had a lot of starts. He loved that.
Loved it,
Yeah.
loved it, and another one was is football important to him, and I think to Beck it is, and yeah. I just think that's the Raiders are looking for a quarterback through the draft. I think that'd be a lot better route. I'm in agreement with you there. Yeah, Carson Beck would definitely be a good fit with the Raiders.
Let's shift to the running backs because I'm hoping we at least find some disagreements here. You said you had a Hall of Fame grade on Ashton Genty. I was not in that camp. I actually had him as more of a second, third round kind of guy, just
Interesting.
because I didn't think a lot of people really observed what was going on in terms of the history of the Mountain West running backs. Like, it never felt to me like if you go and look at all the leaders in terms of the Mountain West running backs, none of those guys really made it. But for this cycle, like I was never, hey, we can't be taking Ashton Genty this high. But I'm totally on the different side when it comes to Jeremiyah Love. I think Jeremiyah Love is one of the 5 to 10 best players in this draft. I think he's even on a different level than Genty. Where do you have Jeremiyah Love? Because I thought that was one of the best combine workouts I've seen out of a running back, maybe since like McCaffrey.
Yeah, Jeremiyah Love. I love Jeremiyah Love. No pun intended. I mean, he's
Yeah.
I mean, he's my running back one, and it's no one's even close to him. I feel,
Yeah, I agree.
and that's why I have a pre-draft Hall of Fame grade on him. I've only given on a handful of Hall of Fame grades pre-draft. And this is a guy that Jalen Carter was the other one. Besides, it was Bowers I gave one to, and Genty, and now Love. And to
I have
me,
Love as the second best player in the draft.
yeah, he's second on my board right now as well.
Who do you have first?
Carson Beck,
You have Carson Beck 101.
101.
I have Downs as the best player, but
Downs is right there. He's in my top 10, probably, where it shakes up, probably top 6. Downs is the fastest safety I've ever evaluated.
he's very fast.
Very fast and very physical, and they can move him around. There's so much game playing versatility they can do with
I feel
Downs.
like he's a cracked out Buda Baker, like a steroid version of Buda Baker.
Yeah, there's so much a defensive coordinator can do with him. There is. They can move him all around. They can play him a slot. They can play him over a corner, over a receiver. They can move him back to safety. I mean, he can come up. He can blitz. He can do. There's so much versatility. almost like I think at one of the comps I saw out there was like the Jalen Petrie, who's another guy I love coming out of Baylor.
He's way bigger than that, though.
Yeah, he is. But somebody compared him to Petrie, kind of like that same, kind of, complain anywhere type of thing. But I have no problem with Downs. Was a little concerned about the medical stuff coming out of the combine with the.
I think they're saying that to drop him down to the board.
I think so too. That's a little Buddy Ryan to me. That sounded a little Buddy Ryan to me. I got to pull out the Buddy Ryan name here. He used to always leak stuff into the media so everybody would fall to
and the group thing people, they don't understand that. They just they fall for it for the cheese every time.
Yeah. I tell you what, if Downs falls to the Eagles, I think I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, no, I mean, but getting back to Love, Love is what I call a space architect, is a new term that I phrased in scouting, or coined, I should say. Because he just knows how to squeeze space better than any running back I've ever evaluated. If you don't stop Jeremiyah Love before he gets started in the backfield, he is going to find you. Give him an inch, he'll take a mile. He can squeeze space. And once he squeezes that space, once he gets into that second level where the linebackers are and beyond, he just accelerates. He has home run type of speed, and he's extremely determined. He's a selfless football player. He'll stay in, no problem. It's as glorious for him to have an 80-yard touchdown run it is to stay in on a blitz pickup. That selflessness is a characteristic I think is severely underrated in scouting. But I think, this is a team sport. I like how he's a selfless guy, and
good receiver too.
Good, really good receiver. You're right. He's got it all. He's got everything together. Plus, he's durable. From my research, he's never missed a game. He's never fumbled. So I mean, this is the guy.
I confirms Peterson.
Yeah, it's there. You go. I mean, I comped him to Saquon Barkley. I mean, I think he's all that in a bag.
Saquon messes around for the home run a little bit more than Love does.
Yeah, true.
Who else do you like in terms, because it's not the greatest running back class outside of Love? Who's like your next guy, or maybe a sleeper that you really love? Well,
so far it's going to be. I haven't evaluated him yet, but it's going to be his counterpart in Notre Dame there, Jordyn Price. I'm excited to look at him because every time I watch Love, I watch Price at the same time, but I didn't formally evaluate him. But that's a guy I have on my list here to do over the next couple of weeks. And there's some good backs in this draft. I feel, there's some sleepers out there that I feel like every time I watch Oregon, Noah Whittington catches my eye. Every time I watch Washington, Jonah Coleman jumps out on film. I haven't evaluated him. Roman Hemby, same thing with Indiana. He was part of that running attack, with Mendoza out there. So there's some backs out there. There's some talent in this draft to bring in the backfield.
I have the Penn State guys 2 and 3.
Oh yeah,
Singleton and Katron Allen.
Yeah, Katron Allen. And, Singleton got hurt, of course, but I mean, Allen's a guy. Absolutely, every single game they had him on there. There goes Katron Allen. I probably heard that name 50 times a game when I was studying Drew Aller. Those are 2 other good ones for sure.
How about we'll shift to wide receivers. My number one, I don't understand thing for this class is, and I was scrolling through your tweets before we got on just to kind of see where you stood. Mm-hmm. I love Zachariah Branch, and I'm getting killed for it online. I have him as my wide receiver too, and everybody is calling me out. I don't really know what people are missing here. He was a big-time recruit. When he was at USC, he got playing time over Makai, Lemon, and Jacoby Lane. He was the number 1 guy in terms of yards after the catch this year for Georgia. And people are dumping on him like, oh, well, he's catching all these bubble screens. It's like, well, did you watch Gunnar Stockton? He can't really push the ball down the field. So, but we're because I see all these people, they pull out these charts. It's like, well, look at his routes run. It's like, you're not really evaluating the quarterback. So, but anyway,
that's a great point. Trey.
Where do you stand on Branch? Because I feel like I'm in Looney Tunes land because nobody seems to agree with me on this one.
You and I are real close on Branch. We're real close. He's my wide receiver 4, first round grade.
Who do you have ahead of him?
Right now I have Carnell Lake as my wide receiver 1.
So do I. I have Tate as 1.
The 1. I got Makai Lemon at 2. I have Jordyn Tyson at 3. Of course, that's an asterisk next to it, right?
I want to talk about those 2 guys after.
Yeah, he's missed over 40% of his games with injury. So I mean, there's an asterisk there. I'm taking a little chance. And then number 4 is Zachariah Branch. To me, Zachariah Branch, I've loved him for 2 years in a row. I've evaluated every single snap he's taken at USC and also this year at Georgia. 26 games total on Branch. And to me, he's lightning in a bottle. This guy is, it's just, he's an exciting football player. Every time he touches the ball, he's a threat to take it to the house. I mean, he's fast. He's got burst. He's got burst to speed. His hands are A+. How
about the 20 reps at the combine for a guy that size? He did 20 reps.
He's a guy. He's got a little wild man to him. I mean, I remember that one of the last games they played the season. I actually put on my report. I sent out a tweet about it, embedded my scouting report. When he caught that touchdown pass, he was running off the field with a bloody lip, and he looked just like he was going wild out there. I can see him getting on a bench and throwing up some weights and doing some stuff. He's got a little switch in him, he's a guy that he's not afraid to block. He's not afraid of traffic areas. And yeah, I get there was a trust issue, I think, between Gunnar Stockton and Branch when they first came over there. Let's throw them some screens, tunnel screens. But as the season progressed, and this is why it's so important to, and not as a criticism to the general, the consensus, but this is why it's so important not just to watch a game or two or just some highlights. It's important because one of the reasons I evaluate all the games of a prospect, preferably for 2 to 3 seasons before the draft. Over the last course of the last couple of years, I watch 12 to 14 games a season, and then the nice thing about that of seeing the genesis more of their fuller body of work is you can see some of the stuff that you can see the progression where all of a sudden now he's not just running screens, all of a sudden he's getting downfield, he's making catches at the intermediate level from 11 to 19 yards. Oh, there he goes, he got deep, 19 plus air yards. So and like you said, Stockton had his issues there. I'm not a big Stockton fan,
No.
but
he's tough, but
yeah, he's tough. He is. But the biggest criticism I have of Branch is maybe he had an average catch radius, but outside that, the dude's a baller. He excels at yak. I think he's an exciting player, especially with the way, if I have a young quarterback in the NFL and I'm trying to build some confidence in a young franchise quarterback, I'm going for Zachariah Branch. I mean, this guy is a guy you can just throw those bubble screens to, and he can make things happen out there. I'm with you. I'm a huge fan of Zachariah Branch and have been all throughout the entire thing.
I want to ask you about the 2 guys you have ranked ahead of him because I'm way lower on them. And maybe this is just the combine talking, but those interviews with Makai and Lemon were very concerning. And a lot of people have said like, oh, well, he's just a St. Brown replica. Well, St. Brown was like, he came from a powerlifting background. Makai Lemon is not that level in terms of like the power department. And he's not overly fast either. Like if I want a slot guy, I love my slot guy if I'm like team building to be a McConkey where he's got real speed to him.
Mm-hmm.
How fast is really Lemon? Because I think he's more of a 4.5, 4.6 guy too.
He could be. I mean, there's a difference between, he looks faster to me on tape. There's a difference between one of the things I learned at the Jets was the difference between, like really looking at the difference between football speed and track speed. And some of these guys are just faster when they put on pads or whatnot. Makai Lemon is interesting. I've maintained a first round grade on him the last 2 seasons as well. 23 games total. I've evaluated every snap he's taken over the last 2 years. He's a jack of all trades type. He's a ball magnet is what I called him. To me, he has uncommon determination, great concentration when the ball's in the air. And he's I feel the best yak receiver, yards after the catch receiver in this draft. I think he's that guy. On the downside, I think that he's kind of a very unique, to say it nicely, route runner. It's him and Jordyn Maeva, the quarterback. They were kind of on the same page. He will run routes at different depths, and I think than what the play is drawn up to be. And sometimes you'll see kind of where the ball ends up and where he ends up are 3 different things. But I think that's just kind of the way he is. He's a very instinctual route runner. There's some inconsistency there creating separation, but I love, and that's the fun thing about this, Trey, is it's the scouting and the evaluating is not a science. So we see some guys the same, we see some guys differently, and that's going to happen. And that's really where those pre-draft meetings these teams have come into play, or like the discussion we're having tonight come into play. Like, okay, so we have a little disagreement on this. If we were in an NFL war room or something, we'd flip on the tape, we'd watch it, we see, and we come up with where we're going to put them as a team. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But I like that. This is a healthy discussion, and I think I wish there was more discussions like this online.
Yeah. So I have Jordyn Tyson as my wide receiver 7. I'll list off the ones I have. So I have Tate 1, Branch 2, Concepcion 3, Bernard 4, Brazel 5. This one's a shocker. I have Colby Young 6. I don't know if you've watched him.
I haven't yet.
And then Tyson 7. But the hamstring really, like, we're talking about a grade 2 hamstring. He's been out for a long time. Didn't participate at the combine. But I do think he, like, in terms of what I watched at Arizona State, he made Leavitt. Like, Leavitt didn't make him. Right.
Oh yeah. Leavitt holds the ball like for an eternity. It's like, okay, throw it, Sam, throw it.
Because Caleb Farley had some hamstring injuries, and he never was really the same after it. So I'm really nervous about the hamstring stuff with him.
Yeah, it is. I mean, my grades are primarily, unless there's some major character stuff or something major outside the tape. Usually, my grades are just film grades. Where I put them out. With Jordyn Tyson, to me, like one of the buzz phrases online is I'll use it. The first time I ever used this actually. He's diet Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, that's why like the body type. Like I can see the way he looks and the way he runs and plays. It's like I see flashes of Fitzgerald.
He does make some circus catches for sure.
He does. And he's a real accomplished route runner. This guy is a polished, seasoned route runner. He creates throwing windows in a variety of ways. He gets himself open. The yards after the catch, the yak. He's not the easiest guy to bring down. He's got great ball tracking skills, I feel, and ability to adjust to the ball like you're talking about with the circus catches. And of course he's had Hines Ward, the old Steelers receiver, as his receivers coach in ASU, kind of coaching him up to do some of these things and these intricacies of the position. But yeah, it's the injuries are a huge concern. Like I mentioned before, he's missed over 40% of his games. And, it's definitely, he's a, like teams will have like on the, they'll have the name of the player and everything. And then they'll have like letters on there, like alerts and like red, some teams. And he is definitely in injury risk, high risk for injury with a big eye on it. And then also too on film, he gets a little too cute for even me at times when he tries to one-handed grab or something where he really didn't have to, but he's trying to make a highlight play, I think. So, we see that one a little bit differently for sure.
I'll send you some quick hitters and then I'll get you out of here at a reasonable time. Okay. Who would you say you're way higher on than consensus? Maybe a guy that like nobody's really talking about.
Well, I think I'm definitely Beck. Beck is one of those guys I feel is
how about somebody else that we didn't talk about?
I think I'm higher, I think, on Dani Dennis-Sutton.
Me too. I have him as my number one edge player.
Wow. See, there we go. I am on Mars officially. Now, I'm not as high on him as you are, but I have a first-round grade on him, and he's a guy I really elevated. Last year, I had, I think, a third-round grade on his 2024 film, but this year, whenever I was watching Penn State,
he was a monster all year.
All year, he's making plays. He's blocking 3 punts. He's forcing fumbles. He's punching the ball out. He's sacks and pressures and all this kind of stuff.
And he played in the bowl game.
Yeah, and he played exactly. That was huge against Clemson at Yankee Stadium. That was big. He didn't opt out. I like that about him. And he's just a ferocious player. And the thing too, I put in my scouting report about Dennis-Sutton is the fact that I think he recognized some of his weaknesses on his 2024 film, and he actually went into, I don't know if you heard about this, but he took some MMA, he did some martial arts stuff. Yeah,
well, I like that 6'9" 3-cone time. I mean, that's absurd for a guy.
Yeah, I think his RAS, his score or something. I think he ranked like what was it like since 1987, number 11 of like 1,900 players or something.
He's ridiculous. Not Micah Parsons, but like I think he's actually like maybe a tick down.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're comparable to, like I said, the Max Crosby range or something, athletically and stuff. So yeah, I mean, Dennis-Sutton's a very interesting player. I feel like the martial arts helped him a little bit in terms of like being able to better. He's kind of like a guy that searches for vulnerability and searches for space when he's rushing. When he flips from side to side, sometimes he's standing up, sometimes his hands down to dirt. And I think what the MMA helped him with is being able to leverage blockers and leverage space even better. And PFF had him a little bit better too with the grade of this last season and the season before. And that's the kind of way I felt watching the film, like there's improvement here. And I feel like this is a guy that can come in and really, create some havoc. And that's what it's all about. It's a passing league. You either got to pass the ball or stop the pass. And I think that Dani Dennis-Sutton is one of those guys that, people aren't talking enough about like yourself.
Yeah, I love him. How about a guy that like you're way lower on than consensus, like you, other than Mendoza?
Peter Woods.
Okay, we slightly disagree with that one because I like Peter Woods.
Okay, yeah, Peter Woods. I mean, I hit the game.
He's talented.
He is talented. This is a guy I had a first-round grade on his 2024 film. I was really looking forward to his 2025 film, and when I turned it on, I was just like, he was getting pushed around. He was soft. He looked really
So my
soft.
question, my question is, so a lot of these defensive linemen, they're almost like lion tamers. You got to get them going. Do we think that, because this is where I'm at with it, do we think that Clemson had such a bad year? Because a lot of those guys, like TJ Parker, didn't have the same year. Like a lot of those guys, Clay Klubnik didn't have the same year. I feel like Clemson's not being in title contention maybe deteriorated some of his numbers.
It could have. It could have. And that to me
Because the
scares me.
motivation factor for some of those defensive linemen, it just matters.
It does, and not only that, but the transition for a lot of those guys is really hard to make the leap, especially at the tackle position from college to the NFL. We've seen, it takes them some time to kind of get used to the NFL game and stuff. It seems, and that would concern me. To your point, Trey, that would concern me because if he gets, let's say he gets drafted by a team that's wins 3-4 games a season.
No, I don't want him. I want him going to a contender.
Well, that's the thing. That's going to be very critical to see how that plays out because Peter Woods has the ability. It's not that's
and he
not
flashed right away as a freshman.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, he's got the ability, but to me, when all the chips are on the table and you're in draft year, and to me, the motivation not being there, it was hard for me to get through his games, me personally. So I put a 4th round grade on him, and I just that's me basically saying, wow. But yeah.
All right. Side question. I'll let you get out of here after this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of this is American Idol, and I know like I'm with you on watching all the games, and I watch every Saturday. But like to me,
awesome.
It doesn't feel like it should take somebody very long to figure out if they can sing or not. And I feel like it's kind of the same way with the NFL draft. What would you say is like something in terms of your scouting process to where, hey, I see something, these are the 2 or 3 things I look for, and once I see those things, I'm locked in?
It varies by position, but it's funny you say that because I actually feel a lot of times like like I can tell if a guy's going to be a player within like the first minute or 2 of watching him on film.
Yeah.
And then, matter of fact, I'll even like make a little note of it in my notes, like, okay, this guy, and then I'll do the work, and it almost always turns out to be that, yeah, he's the player. I just do all that film work as a matter of just confirming, reconfirming, over and over again, looking at all the variables. But it varies by position. I'm looking, if you talk about different positions, quarterbacks, a couple, 2, 3 things I'm looking at. When he takes a snap, is a guy, how, can he navigate in the pocket? Can he move out? Is he accurate on the run? Looking at progressions, I'm watching his head. If his head's moving around, is he actually reading stuff post snap or not? And ball placement's a huge thing I'm looking for with quarterbacks. It's not just a completion percentage, but it's the ball placement. Is this guy putting the ball in position where the receivers can catch and run through the catch and pick up yardage after the catch? Is another big thing. Ball security is another big thing I look for at quarterbacks. Is that I chart pass breakups, not just interceptions, but I look at how many pass breakups these guys have during the games. I mean, how many times is the defense getting their hand or their body on their throws? That's huge because PBUs can turn into pass breakups can turn into interceptions easily. The ball tips up in the air and somebody catches it. Running backs, I'm looking at guys that can as far as like burst is a big thing I'm looking for at running backs. Their speed, their burst, if they have that second gear, that home running, that special gear they're looking at. Vision's another big thing I'm looking at. Do they look like they know instincts? Can they feel the holes? Can they feel the space or not? It's a couple things I'm looking for there. Of course, hands on the backfield's another one. Is he a guy that can be a dependable safety valve? Can he go further? Can he run a wheel route down the field? Can he get down the field? That's another big thing for receivers. I'm looking for guys that can create separation. That's a big one there for receivers. The guys that do they have can they cut fast on their break points? Can they get inside quick against these corners or outside quick? Or are they sophisticated, calculated route runners? Do they like I remember watching like a Emeka Egbuka at Ohio State. He was like everything he did was like calculated on his film. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for guys, of course, that can succeed at the short, intermediate, and deep route as a receiver. Tight ends, I'm looking for guys that can, are multi-dimensional. They can block, can catch, guys that can create separation from linebackers and safeties, guys that can, yards after the catch. Offensive lines all different. Offensive tackles, of course, you want those guys to be dancing bears, dancing ballerina at the tackle positions. Guys that have great footwork. They can, they can slide out effortlessly like they're on like some dance show or something. Guys that don't cross over their feet so they trip over their own shoelaces. Guys, hand placement. So many of these guys got their hands outside of the point of attack. They lose their leverage. I want guys with the hands inside, guys that can control the blocks, guys that can move, guys that, if a defensive end or the edge rusher comes hard back to the inside, they can slide back in with them. Guys that can, seal off the perimeter. They can seal off, they're good against stunts and blitzes and spin moves and pass rushing moves. And they look like they know what they're doing. They're good at blocking. Inside guys, I'm looking for maulers, tough physical guys that can hunker down, especially against bull rushes. They got nice base. They're sturdy. They're strong. From the waist down, they can hunker down. They're not going to get just bull rush and driven back into the quarterback like they're on skates. Centers, I'm looking at ball placement in terms of the center of the snap. Are we getting the ball back fast? Are we getting it back accurately? Are we good at tandem blocks with the guards? That's another thing I look at with all offensive linemen is how do they work with others? How do they work in concert with others? Are they good with double teams? Are they going to look for extra help and try to help someone, their teammates, if they're struggling when they're just standing there, nothing's going on. So those are some of the things I look at. Edge rushers. I mean, that's where it's at. You got to get into the pocket. I mean, edge rushers. I'm looking for guys that can, fast off the snap. That first step is fast off the snap. The guys that can just, they can get into, guys who can bull rush. You got a full, nice toolbox, a full arsenal of pass rush moves. They can rip, swim. They can ghost move. They can spin back to the inside, outside. They're not just a one-trick pony. Defensive tackles. I'm looking for guys that can drive those guards and those centers right back into the quarterback's face. That's ideally what I want from those defensive tackles, and also guys who can play the run well. Some of these guys, they just don't look like 3-down defenders, defensive tackles. I mean, playing the run is an important, still important part of the game. Linebackers, fastest 2 minutes in sports, linebackers, I'm looking for guys that, they can rush the passer, they can drop in the coverage, they can play short zone, they can play man to man if they're matched up with backs and tight ends as linebackers, middle linebackers who attack the line of scrimmage and don't just stand 7 to 10 yards back and wait for the running back to get to him, but they attack into the line of scrimmage, and they're good tacklers, they're sound tacklers. Linebackers got to be good tacklers. Cornerbacks are guys I'm looking for that can play. I love press man coverage. Get right up on these guys like Lester Hayes. Get right up on them. They mirror every step. They're good. They not only just watch. They have an eye to the backfield. They are able to mirror the receivers. They're able to stay with them. They're able not to get called for a lot of penalties. They don't get too handsy. They're rough. They're physical. They're tough, but they're not too handsy. And they got good speed. They got recovery speed. They got a burst. So when the receiver runs the inside slant, when that receiver makes his break, they can break on the ball and get in front of it. I don't want a damage control corner. A damage control corner to me is a guy that can only make tackles after the fact, after the catch, and after the yardage has already been gotten. I want guys that can jump the routes, guys that can play angles, guys that can get to the ball, have a good feel for the route tree, and also can watch that quarterback and know what they're watching. Safeties, guys that they're basically they're that's the last line of defense. The last thing in the world, I'd rather play with 10 men on the field than have a safety that doesn't want to get his jersey dirty. I mean, that's just me. I mean, I want safeties that come up and they can bang. I mean, they can hit somebody. They can play center field. They can get over. They can provide help. A lot of these safeties don't provide help to the corners and the deep halves. But a guy has got good range. He's a good tackler. He's a guy that you can blitz. You can do a variety of things with, like we talked about with the Caleb Downs. So those are kind of some of the things I'm looking for in these different positions. Did I forget anybody?
No, this was fun. I feel like I could have talked to you for another 2 hours. I'll let you.
My wife loves it. My wife loves it because she's like, talk to somebody about this besides when we go on our date night. I don't want. I don't want to hear any more about single high safeties or these linebackers or any stuff. So it's great. It's great being on your show. Great talking with you. You definitely know ball. I could do this too for hours.
Yeah, we'll schedule. How about we'll schedule another one closer to the draft? But before I let you get out of here, plug your stuff one more time where people can find you.
Absolutely. On Twitter X, I'm at First Round Mock. That's the source of the controversy there going on in the social media world. And then as far as my website is firstroundmock.com. That's where you're going to find the most in-depth analysis that's out there in the industry. If you're looking for information on these guys, and I also have the only draft platform in America that not only lists the games for the sake of accountability
and
grading transparency. Oh, you do too?
I list every game that I watch at the top of the profile.
I love that. I see that's it. And I also provide the links too.
Yeah.
But I love that because that is so important because
I do it's called the NFL Draft Stock Report, and I put the link at every single game that I watch from that player.
I love you see, I am on Mars. I've never seen that. I've never heard that. So now I'll
send you one after we're done.
I love that. So now I'll say it differently from now on. Thank you for staying corrected. But no, it's I love that because I feel like everybody deserves that, right? I mean, everybody is watching. I mean, the general public deserves that. I mean, at the end of the day, these are opinions, but these are educated opinions. They deserve to be able to click on the game and watch it for themselves and see what we're seeing and seeing what's really happening in terms of like entertainment purposes and grading purposes and transparency and accountability purposes. It drives me wild. All these people out there that have these,
I think there's a lot of frauds in this industry, but that's just me.
It's just a hot take after hot take after hot take, and it's like
I'm fine with the hot takes. It's just this person thinks this, and I gotta adjust my mock because this person thinks this. That's the stuff that drives me insane.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's all if like I said on another show, if you've seen one mock, you've seen them all for the most part, and so
how about the people that do shows based on mocks is like, this is me reacting to Daniel Jeremiah's mock drafts. Like, why do you care? Like, anyway,
I don't know, but if you're looking for a great draft experience, I mean, it sounds like you do a great job with what you're doing. I just offer this perspective too that, hey, I mean, this is what I do 17 to 20 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, and just put the information out there for folks, free of charge and want to go take a look at it and get more involved and learn more about these players. And that's what firstroundmock.com is.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Daniel. And also check out the website, vendettasportsmedia.com. And people can play the Vendetta Fantasy Contest stuff for free right now. Thanks again, Daniel. And we will see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.